To understand friendship, I'll just give you the basis of it. There are two factors. One is the need and the other one is trust. So need-based friendships fades away once the need is met. In terms of trust-based friendships, is once the trust is broken, that is when the friendship also breaks.
Some children make friends very easily, while some really struggle to make friends.
Could be because of their innate nature, and it could also be because of the family environment and also the past experiences of trust and mistrust.
Sure, home is the first environment, but school comes a close second. It is a place where ideas are formed, ideologies are getting cemented, not merely through curriculum, but also through influence. Influence mostly of friends. Welcome to Guidecast, an initiative by Narayana Educational Institutions. Narayana remains steadfast in guiding students towards academic excellence, ensuring that their dreams are fulfilled. Because at Narayana, your dreams are our dreams. I am your hostess, Shezi, and with me is Vijay Lakshmi ma'am. She has 25 years of experience in designing interventions addressing human behavioral challenges. Out of those 25 years, 18 years have been dedicated to the education sector, where she has worked with students from the age group of KG to PG. Today, she is going to help us understand the hidden impact of school friends and what every parent really must know. A very warm welcome to you once again, Vijay Lakshmi ma'am.
Thank you, Shazi.
I want to understand from you, ma'am, how important it is to forge really strong friendships in childhood.
Friends do mean the world at a young age, and for that matter, at any age, I say.
Yes.
Right? So, by fostering friendships, right from childhood, the child is able to enjoy companionship, which is very much required for their overall well being. In this process, the child learns a lot. He learns how to handle disappointments, right? He's trying to learn how to build and rebuild bonds. The conflicts that one has, they're able to understand the process and then able to problem solve and resolve conflicts, right? So all these experiences help them to have a better understanding of the world when they grow up.
What kind of experiences do you observe in students as far as friendships are concerned?
To understand friendship, I'll just give you the basis of it. There are two factors. One is the need and the other one is trust. So need-based friendships, what happens is it fades away once the need is met. And in terms of trust-based friendship, what happens is once the trust is broken, that is when the friendship also breaks.
So basically, friendships are that crucial in a child's life.
So during this age, there's so much of emotions that is invested in friendships. And the intensity is higher, especially during adolescent years, because I think that is where they seek a lot of validation. And the child also feels that, they are able to relate to the teens who are also going through this phase, and they are able to relate to their friends and peers better.
But I've also noticed, ma'am, a lot of times what happens is that some children make friends very easily, while some really struggle to make friends. Why is that, ma'am?
There could be several factors attributing to this, Shizi. One could be because of their innate nature, and it could also be because of the family environment and also the past experiences of trust and mistrust. Majority of the time, also, it could be what they are also going through when they're transitioning through that age. Could be more like if I say, how do I fit into an already existing group? So maybe they're all friends, I might not be accepted, or they're very good in studies, I might not be that good. So all this leads to thoughts of isolation and withdrawal. I'll give you a small example. I think it's one from campuses in Hyderabad, Kollur campus, where a child has come for support because she was finding it difficult to adjust to the new campus. So in the process, what she shares is she had good number of friends in the previous school, and over here she was struggling. And on top of that, she's also shared that she was finding it difficult to fit in. And the counselor had understood she was also going through body image issues.
Oh dear.
Which makes it even more difficult. She thinks that, okay, people might find me this way, or, I am not a fit here.
Right.
So they have their own internal self-talk.
Should parents involve themselves in their children's friendships? And how much is too much involvement?
So parents usually operate from the fears that they had and they experienced as a child. And in this process, what they want to do is they want to protect the child. Or what parents can be doing is strike a balance. Instead of pushing a child into a social circle, which already makes the child anxious.
Yeah.
Instead, they can be empathetic towards the child. Simple conversation like, I know social life makes you anxious. Why don't we sit and talk about it? You can take your own pace. So what the child goes through is it makes him feel understood. Secondly, Shazi, what the parent can do is help in building the child's confidence. Like, for example, if your child is good in drawing, they can say, hey, why don't you invite your friends where we can draw, and then maybe you can talk about your techniques to them. So what happens here is the parent is actually focusing on the strengths of the child, and then it creates a low pressure societal environment for the child. Thirdly, the parent can also help in creating a safe environment. For example, if the child is coming home upset, rather than say it's no big deal, rather sit with the child and then talk to him. I know you must have had a difficult day at school. Would you want to talk to me about it? I'm there to listen. So this helps the child, not feel judged about it. And then it helps them, to start believing in himself.
Reality is a lot of times parents don't even realize that there may actually be a problem. Can you possibly, help us identify a few red flags?
One is if the child is isolating themselves, they're not mingling well with friends. So this could mean there's something terribly wrong. And second, if the child is complaining frequently about a friend, right? So, my friend has done this. If the frequency of complaints is higher, right? So that is another red flag. The other factor is if the child does not want to go to school. They've been going to school,
Happily.
regularly,
Correct.
and then all of a sudden they see that disinterest creeping in. So that could be another red flag. Also, they are avoiding the hobbies and activities. Like, for example, there is a cricket team they were a part of. Now they don't want to be a part of that team anymore. Right? So things like this are signs that the parent can watch out for.
I've noticed a lot of times parents are frightened about what kind of friends their children are making, or, the risk that their child might run into of being taken advantage of by their friends. How can I empower my child to instill boundaries within their friendships, ma'am?
They can teach the child by first modeling the behavior themselves. Children learn a lot by observing the parents. First, for instance, when the parent wants to enter the room, knocking the door and asking, for permission, helps the child feel respected. And he also understands the boundaries. The parents can also model consent. Like, for example, they can simply ask, can I borrow your charger? Asking permission, they feel respected, of their things.
Right.
They also, in turn, feel that, they will have to ask permission. Also, help the children understand the importance of personal space. So this can be modeled like simple things like, can I sit next to you on the couch? Right. So over here, they feel, okay, the space is also important. Yeah. Another thing that the parents can be doing is supporting the children's decisions. For instance, the child is close with someone. The parent can say, I like the way you are friends with him. Right? Can you tell me what you like about the friendship? What is it that you share? So what happens in this is the child is feeling respected of the choice that he has made.
Right.
And also acknowledging the child when they assert themselves. For instance, when they have observed the child saying no, when a friend wants to spend some time, and then they can say, okay, yeah, hey, I've noticed you were able to say no to your friend. So what happens is the child learns in this process that it's okay to say no.
This no part I really love. Encourage your children to say no. It's a great thing to do. And now, ma'am, a question that is at the heart of most parents. To their daughters, they'll say, why can't you have more girlfriends? To the boys, they'll say, why must you talk to so many girls? Can you actually explain the nuances of opposite gender friendships, please?
Today, we live in a world where it is multicultural and multi-gendered friendships are prevalent. Yeah. A situation where a child came to us, I think this was from our Chennai campus, where a child has mentioned that, he was very good friend with one of his classmates, which was a girl. And the moment his father came to know about it, he's restricted that he can't be speaking to her at all.
Oh dear.
But whereas for this child, he felt that he was able to relate to her and then she understood him better. From the parent's perspective, he has operated maybe, to be overprotective. But what he could have done is could have understood the fact that it's an age appropriate behavior.
Right.
And rather than belittling the child's feelings, they could have found a middle ground.
In fact, ma'am, this kind of leads me into my most favorite part of the segment, which is myth debunking time. Sadly, Bollywood has propagated this that a boy and a girl cannot be friends. Like other than romantic relationship, it just cannot happen. You have any thoughts or feelings that you want to talk about as far as this is concerned?
It's definitely a myth. I'll tell you a couple of things to counter this notion. Firstly, when children are friends with the other genders, it helps them get a diverse perspective. And also they're able to understand boundaries and respect boundaries. And in this process also, there are a lot of social skills that the child learns. It's preparing them to the adult life where they will have to be working with genders.
Okay, ma'am, I think it is that time in our episode to take a couple of questions from the parents. My child's friend comes from a different financial background, and because of this, my kid asks me for things we cannot afford. How do I tackle this without affecting their self esteem?
So I think this is a challenge which most of the parents do experience, where knowingly or unknowingly they are in a community where, or whether it's being in the school or being in the society they are in, children are attracted to things which they don't have. They don't understand that they can't afford it. So parents can teach the child financial boundary, I would say. A simple conversation like, I know you've been wanting this. Why don't we start saving up so that we can buy it? Rather than focusing on the material value of things, if the child is able to understand the qualities, like for example, the conversations from the parents' perspective could be, someone is close to you not because of what you have, but because they like this strength of yours or this quality of yours. Right. So over here, what is happening is by the differentiating process happening, they think, okay, the friend is coming to me because they like this aspect of me rather than what I possess.
This one says we have a job that comes with a lot of transfers and hence we end up moving around a lot, which means my kid has to make new friends every 2-3 years. How can we as parents help him to adjust better?
It can be definitely, nerving for the child to be uprooted from a place where he was already comfortable and formed friends and then fit into a newer environment. So this can set in a feeling of insecurity and lack of trust. The parents can actually help in preparing the child well in advance about, the month or the time they will have to make the move, so that what happens is the child is also mentally preparing themselves for that. A few other things that the parents can be doing is following similar activities that they were doing in the previous place, like Sunday going out for a meal or going to a place of worship. So this creates, the continuity on the routine that they were having in the earlier place. Also, joining in a similar school, for example, if they were in a CBSE school earlier, looking for a similar CBSE school, it doesn't disrupt. Coming from a space of understanding and speaking to the child, I know this is disturbing and it's taking time. So the child doesn't feel pushed. And then he is encouraged to organically, fit in.
As we conclude today's episode, one thing has become very clear: how absolutely important it is to have friendships in your children's life. It supports their growth, it supports their happiness. And we as parents play such an absolute vital role in creating an atmosphere where they can have safe friendships, meaningful friendships. And these very friendships are going to serve as such an important foundation for beyond. Ma'am, before we wrap up this episode, can you give us a little sneak peek into next episode?
Yes, Shizzy. Most of the time, parents do express their struggle in handling students or children's tantrums. So maybe we can talk about anger and discipline.
Ooh, that's a big one. If you have any questions about this of your own that you want to share or ask Vijaya Lakshmi ma'am over here, don't forget to write them down at the email address that we have mentioned below. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Guidecast, and thank you, Vijaya ma'am, for your time.
Thank you, Shizzy.
Thank you for joining Guidecast, where we are dedicated to helping you understand and support your child's journey to success and fulfillment. With insights from Disha, the mental wellness program by Narayana Educational Institutions, a beacon of educational excellence for over 4 decades, we aim to empower parents and students alike. Remember, at Narayana, your dreams are our dreams.